Welcome to TMFI, where I tell you too much information. This podcast is for anyone looking for a place to have open, honest conversations about menstrual cycles, mental health, self-image, and more sensitive topics that might just be considered too much information. Although PMDD is self-diagnosable, I am not a medical professional. I would recommend reaching out to a medical professional for an official diagnosis. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Hi everybody, welcome back to the TMFI podcast. In today's episode, I will be catching you all up on the past month for me, tracking my cycle on TikTok, and how I was kind to myself during a rough PMDD month. I love being comfortable, especially during my luteal phase. With tender breasts and bloating, most underwear can feel restricting. Not Harper Wilde. Harper Wilde has high-quality bras, underwear, sleep sets, and more that won't break the bank but will support your goodies. They offer free shipping on orders $75 and more, as well as free returns. Not sure of your size? Take their simple quiz and find the right size for you. A portion of each purchase goes to Girls Inc. to support mentorship and educational programming for girls. You can also send your old underwear in as part of their recycling program. When you shop at harperwilde.com, make sure to use code SASSA to save some money. That's SASSA. So I know a lot of the episodes so far have been super educational and super fact-based, but I also wanted to start to incorporate more of my own personal life and my own personal journey. And I know I mention some things here and there relating my journey to what I've covered in the episode. But I also think it's important just to have episodes where I catch you all up on what's been going on in my life, because I want to have that personal connection with everybody listening. And I hope that if you feel comfortable to, you share with me as well. And it doesn't have to be live on the podcast, but I have been really enjoying getting messages from you all on Instagram or TikTok, just saying that you found the podcast and it's helped you a lot, or you're somebody who knows me and it's just been really helpful to get to know me a little bit better. So today's episode is going to be a little more raw, I guess I'll say. I'm going to try not to edit out too much. If there's ums or pauses, I kind of want it to just be a natural sounding conversation of me speaking to you all. March is a really hard month for me to begin with. It's the month that I lost both my grandpa and my uncle. So each year since 2019 and then again in 2021, March has just been a really, really hard year, and I kind of dread it the end of February into the month. And this year was absolutely not different at all. At the beginning of last month, it's February, so obviously the next month's going to be March, and I just got this feeling in my body where I was like, it's going to be a rough month, it's going to be a rough cycle. So one thing I wanted to try out was I wanted to track my cycle on TikTok. So I've been trying to build my community over there of amazing PMDD warriors, and I've just really been wanting to spread awareness. And it's been really awesome. Dixie D'Amelio has liked a couple of my videos, which has been so cool. But I've tried to be as raw as possible on there. I still have a really hard time showing the really hard times. I can talk about the hard times, but showing them in the moment is something, it just doesn't feel right to me sometimes. But, I like to be very open with saying that times do get hard and I do struggle a lot. And if you follow me on Twitter, sometimes you see some of that playing itself out. But ultimately, I wanted to show people the kinds of things that if you were tracking your cycle, the things that you might want to look out for yourself. And also, mainly, I wanted to have a space where when I'm having those hard days, maybe in this next cycle, I can look back on the whole month before and I can see that it is a cycle and things will get better. So kind of just motivation for me and for anybody else who's out there who needs that motivation as well. I just wanted to show that, but also I wanted to be transparent about the rough times as well. So it wasn't perfect. I didn't track every single day as I thought I would, but I tracked every other day to every few days, and that was really helpful for me. I got a lot of comments. I got a lot of engagement with that, with people asking questions and wanting to learn more. And what I've been doing recently is I've been letting people know that IAPMD is an amazing organization that's out there They have a lot of resources. And then obviously I've also been letting people know about the podcast as well. But I think that has just been super helpful for everybody. And I've kind of been doing little follow-ups as well. For example, on Saturday, I had so much laundry to catch up on, you all. I'm sure someone out there relates to this, but from literally ovulation until, I'm not even going to lie, like 3 days into my period, I was having really bad symptoms. And a lot of those symptoms were just around fatigue, not having energy, not having any inspiration. So I spent a lot of time on the couch, a lot of time in bed, and the chores in my house just piled up until I felt better, which was honestly a few days ago from when I'm recording now. And I think that was like day 4 or 5 of my cycle. And so it was a really long period of not feeling good this last cycle. However, I know that I didn't do all I could to prevent these more intense symptoms. I was a little lenient on my diet. I was not really working out at all. And I found that working out really, really helps. Even if I don't feel like working out, just 5 minutes of, for me, a high intensity thing like going outside and jumping rope or dancing or something like that can have a complete 180 on my mood or my day. The effect is so strong just from physical activity. So because of those things, I think that's why my cycle was a little more rough this time around. But I was trying not to beat myself up over it. I told myself, okay, listen, if you need to rest, you need to rest. Try and do one thing. And if I could do that one thing, then I was like, great. And if I couldn't do that one thing, and that thing changed every day, but if I couldn't do that one thing, then I was like, okay, you must really need the rest. Try again tomorrow. And doing that, I think, was a really loving thing for me, because in the past I would have been really hard on myself and I would have let guilt run over into even when I'm feeling better. And it's just a really crappy feeling when you feel completely worthless because of something that's out of your control / really hard to control. So one thing that I've just been trying to remind myself of is that not every day is going to be the same. We live in a cycle, and the cycle continues and repeats, but each day can be different. Each day, each week, each phase of the cycle is not going to be the same. So I definitely allowed myself a lot of rest when it was needed, but ultimately, I think that's really been helping me out now in my follicular phase, because I was a little overwhelmed, as I was mentioning earlier, because I had so many loads of laundry just piled up, and they were piled up in dirty laundry bags, in clean laundry bags that needed to be folded, and around my room. I went to Vegas last month and I didn't unpack. I just had my suitcase there. I was halfway living out of my suitcase and just living out of clothes that I didn't really love, but they were clean, so I wore them. And over the weekend, I was just like, you know what? This needs to change. I feel good. We're going to just tackle laundry. I put a show on my iPad and I pushed through like 4 loads of laundry. I washed them, I dried them, I folded them, and I put them away, because I know I have enough energy to do all those things now. And in a couple weeks, or maybe even in a week, I may not have the same energy. So I took advantage of the energy that I had and I got through all of the laundry. So that's what worked the best for me. And each month I tell myself, try to stay on top of things so that they don't pile up. That's just an intention that I set for myself. I don't always meet it, but when I do meet it, it does make my life and my cycle so much easier. So I'm once again in that place where I have a full closet full of clean clothes. And as I'm wearing the clothes and getting them dirty, I'm trying to think, okay, what day this week is going to be good to do the laundry, where maybe I only have to spend 20 or less minutes folding laundry and putting them away, instead of one day or 2 days of the month doing an hour's worth of laundry. And I'm doing the same thing for everything in my house. One of my favorite things is when people tell me they're coming over to my house, because it forces me to deep clean. And it was perfect timing that I had people over on the weekend because I was in a brand new cycle and I was already wanting to clean. So that just gave me the extra push to get a lot of things done in my house. And now that I have those things done, I've organized things to make it easier. I just tell myself, if you put the object back where you got it from, then you won't have to worry about things getting out of hand and having to redo that whole cleaning process again. And it allows me to clean easier because, for example, in my bathroom, I don't have my skincare products all over the counter. They're in a corner in an area where I keep all of my skincare stuff, and the rest of the counter space is free. So if I need to wipe it down, I can do so. And just little things. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. I don't know how this cycle is going to be, but I have been getting back into working out. So far this week, I've done yoga. I did jumping jacks yesterday. And yesterday was one of those days where I ended up spending all day. I'm learning how to code. So I spent literally all day learning how to code, and I just couldn't stop because I was working on a project. And by the time I was done with the project, it was already like 5:30, and I should have been getting ready to make dinner. But instead, what I did was I got up and I said, hey, I need 5 minutes to go work out. And I just went outside and I set a timer for 5 minutes, and I just jump roped as much as I could within those 5 minutes. Was it 5 minutes of actual jumping? No, but I'm not there yet physically. But it was something, and it was a start, and my heart rate got up and stayed up for a few minutes. And then I had some electrolytes and stretched as a cool down. I am doing pole dancing again, so that's once a week. And that's like my big workout because it's an hour of physical activity. So it's my big workout. Every other day of the week, I'm trying to do at least 5 minutes of something, anything. It doesn't matter. I had some very triggering experiences during this last cycle. I had a really bad conversation with my manager at work, which kind of set off my really premenstrual dysphoric disorder, like those days right before your period. 2 days before my period came, I just had a really frustrating experience at work, and that made it really, really hard for me to calm down, and those feelings kind of just triggered a bunch of emotions. But I was able to get through it. It didn't get too bad. I did a lot of crying, but ultimately, when I got my period, I felt so much better, and now I feel so good. So I'm trying to just do those little things. I'm working on getting my diet back to a place where I have balance, because I'm finding that if I deny myself something, that when I have the opportunity, or when there is an opportunity to indulge, I kind of can't stop myself. So I want to be at a place where I can indulge a little bit every now and then and be satisfied with that, but mainly have this really good diet that I believe works best for me. So yeah, it's been a really hard month, but I'm very happy to have this platform, and I enjoy these episodes where I can kind of just talk, because I don't talk that much in person, especially about these things. I still personally feel a little weird, and when I do open up, I start to feel really weird about it, but I know it's so important, so I try and push myself to talk about it anyways, and not just going up to people and complaining about my life, but just mentioning it if it's something that's brought up. Speaking of awareness though, April is PMDD Awareness Month, and it's actually just premenstrual disorders awareness month because they have included PME in that as well. And I am going to be working with the International Association for Premenstrual Disorders, and that is the organization IAPMD. Each Tuesday of the month on my Twitch channel, I'm going to be fundraising for them. And there's going to be some fun incentives. There's going to be some fun makeup looks, some fun outfits, and some fun activities. So I really hope that you're able to check that out. That'll be every Tuesday in April. I typically begin my Twitch streams at 3 p.m. Pacific time, but you can follow me on Twitter to know when I go live. And if you also follow me on Twitch, you can turn on notifications so that you'll be alerted as soon as I go live. I'm really excited to work with such an amazing organization. I'm also really excited to continue making TikToks, especially if bigger eyes are seeing what I'm doing. I just feel so honored. I'm currently feeling a little burnt out. I don't really know what to post on TikTok, but I'll think of something, even if it's just talking like I do here on the podcast. It's like TikTok's a little teaser, and if you want to hear more, you come listen to the podcast. And in the upcoming weeks, I'm going to be doing episodes on blood sugar and how that affects PMDD, or how it can affect PMDD. And also, I would love to read your stories. So if you do want to share your story, it doesn't have to include your name. It could be anonymous, and it doesn't have to be your full story. It could honestly be anything revolving around premenstrual dysphoric disorder or premenstrual exacerbation. Or if you even want to ask me questions, or if you have topics you want me to talk about, please feel free to email me at tmficast@gmail.com. You can also DM me on Instagram or on Twitter. If you or someone you know struggles with PMDD, follow the podcast social media accounts at TMFIcast on Instagram and Twitter. There, I post memes and resources relating to PMDD. Feel free to interact and let me know what you want to hear on the show. If you want to see what I'm doing outside of the show and how I'm healing through spirituality, food, and the arts, follow me on my social media accounts at Sassa the Scorpio. That's SASSA the Scorpio.